Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well. United States of America is allowed to have nuclear warheads, nuclear weapons, even though it dropped 2 atomic bombs, in which was a war crime, in the 6th and the 9th of August 1945 on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But they are allowed. On the other hand, Iran, who did not drop an atomic bomb on anybody, is not allowed, says the United States of America. You understand that? On the contrary, on top of that, let's put it this way, on top of that, the guys who dropped 2 atomic bombs tell the other guys, which is the Iranians, well, you can't even have a peaceful nuclear research or anything. You cannot have it for your peaceful means as energy. Says who? I think dropping 2 atomic bombs on 2 civilian cities, I think qualifies as a war crime. That's the first one. But the United States of America somehow has the right to tell those guys, you can't have it. Now, I'm not here to promote Iran having it. I'm here to promote this hypocritical action from the United States of America, who can tell everybody, hey, no, you can't, we're going to bomb you if you, but you can. Who are you? This is like remember, the justification for this was, we know how it is. That's why we don't want anybody else to have it. Well, why don't you get rid of them then? And if that's the logic, it's like you have a rapist being in charge of a court as the judge because he knows how it is to. How logical that is. All right. What's going on here? We're going to talk about nuclear weapons. Iran is going to meet on Friday with the European leaders, 3 countries, who tell Iran that if Iran continues pursuing nuclear weapons, they're going to impose sanctions on Iran. That's the first one. Second one Iranian emissary shows up in Moscow and hands Vladimir Putin a little message from Mr. Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran. Interesting. And this is even more interesting than that. The Russians and the Chinese will hold talks with Iran regarding the nuclear program. So you have the Europeans with the Americans who say we're going to bomb you because we know how it is. The Europeans say we're going to impose sanctions on you if you develop anything. The Russians are talking to the Iranians. And then the last one. The United States of America secretly deployed nuclear bombs in United Kingdom. So United Kingdom has a foreign country's nuclear weapons on its territory. But the United Kingdom does not have its nuclear warheads on that country's territory. That sounds like what? Subordinate boss. Plantation, and as I said, United Kingdom is the house servant on this plantation. The rest of these guys, the vassal states associated with Al Capone, are the plantation slaves over there cutting the sugar cane. United Kingdom is the house servant. So, if you try to say this, that, hey, Emil, do you remember that the United States of America, told the Russians, if you guys deploy your weapons in Belarus, we're gonna do something else. Remember that one, Emil? Yeah, I remember that one. And what happened? Well, the Russians allegedly or reportedly deployed nuclear warheads in Belarus. Therefore, you might say, see, that's why, Emil, we deployed into United Kingdom. But I will come back and say, yes, that's true. So, the United States has seven locations in Europe in 5 countries with nuclear warheads. So, the United States of America has already 7 locations in Europe outside of the United States of America. I'm just talking about Europe. How many did Russia have? 0. Until Belarus. So as of now, it is 7-1. Therefore, Russia has to catch up. It needs 6 more deployments. Maybe in Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, maybe Mexico, maybe Canada. No? Alright. So if we are about to talk about being just and honest, always go with the chronology of events and who started it. And you don't have to pick and choose and ignore and... No. The clear thing is the United States of America has 7 nuclear deployments, 7, in 5 European countries. And now it's 6 European countries with 8 deployments, and Russia has 1. So I apologize for using this complicated mathematics or arithmetics. All right, let's start with the first one. From the Tellers of the Truth, the Times of Israel, you know what I mean, I come with this article from today, July 21st, 2025. Iran announces nuclear talks with European powers, because they're powers, in Istanbul on Friday. Tehran says countries will dispatch deputy foreign ministers to the negotiations, which comes as UK, France, and Germany threaten snapback sanctions. And this comes from Israel. First question to the Europeans and the Americans: does Israel have nuclear weapons? If the answer is I don't know, then you're a fuck up. You should know. Otherwise, shh about Iran. Oh, you say we should forget about that, but focus on this one? Then you're not fair. You're not just. Therefore, you don't have my support. So, we're going to talk, otherwise we're going to impose sanctions on you. But nobody is interested in Israel somehow. That's very strange, isn't it? No, it's not. You know who the boss is. Next one. Sputnik. Advisor to Iranian Supreme Leader conveys message from Tehran to Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Tehran, Ali Larijani, senior advisor to Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, has held a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss relations between Moscow and Tehran, as well as conveyed to him a message from the Iranian leadership. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Bakay said on Monday, and I'm quoting, during his visit to Moscow, Larijani conveyed to President Putin a message from the Iranian leadership with the Islamic Republic's general positions on views on the situations in the Middle East, global processes, and bilateral relations. He had a good meeting with Putin. A wide range of topical issues were discussed, including both the bilateral agenda and the situation in the Middle East over the past 3 to 4 weeks. That's it. All right. This article is from 6 hours ago today on the July 21st, 2025. And let's go to the next one. Russia Today, from the same day, Monday. Iran announces nuclear talks with Russia and China. I was wondering many times before, why only the United States of America is the legitimate broker of deals in the Middle East? Does the United States of America own the Middle East, or why? I mean, look over the map. Why? Why not Russia? Why not China? Why not Bangladesh? Why not, I don't know, Uzbekistan? Why not my friends from Zimbabwe? Why not? Well, you know why. Because you have to defend your owners. All right. The 3 countries have already had, quote-unquote, good consultations on the United Nations sanctions snapback, Tehran has said. Russia, China, and Iran will hold talks on Tuesday to discuss Tehran's nuclear program. Esmail Bagebagugugu, a spokesman for the Iranian Foreign Ministry, has announced. He noted that a separate round of talks with European nations is scheduled for later this week. Got it? And the baboons are coming from France and all these imbeciles. Bagay noted that Russia and China remain members of the 2015 nuclear deal and hold significant influence in the UN Security Council. He added that Iran had had good consultations with the 2 countries regarding the potential sanctions snapback. Legally and logically, there is no reason for the return of sanctions lifted under the nuclear deal, end quote, he stressed. He tries to be logical and factual, but you talk with jackals. You can't do that, my friends. The spokesman has also confirmed that Iran would hold a separate meeting at the deputy foreign minister level with Bahrain, Britain, France, and Germany in Istanbul on Friday, adding that Tehran has no plans to talk with the US at this time. Got it? All right, excellent. And that gets me to the last one, because, you know, these guys are the good people. According to Sputnik, Pentagon quietly returns nuclear bombs to UK for first time since 2008. The United States has reportedly returned its nuclear weapons, including an unspecified number of B-61-12 thermonuclear gravity bombs, to the British Lakenheath Health Air Force Base in Suffolk. Jesus Christ, can you find something clearer? In UK, like Book or Bak, the UK Defense Journal reported, citing multiple sources. For the first time since at least 2008, the United States has transported weapons from the US Air Force Nuclear Weapons Center in Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico to a newly established secure storage facility in Suffolk, UK, the journal reported on Sunday. So, this base stored US nuclear weapons during the Cold War, with the removal occurring in 2008 as a part of disarmament initiatives. The potential reintroduction of nuclear bombs to Europe coincides with worsening relations between NATO and Russia. All right, the B-61-12 bomb is an enhanced version of the B-61 nuclear bomb, featuring advanced guidance systems and variable yield capabilities. As a key element of the United States' strategic nuclear arsenal, it is designed for deployment through various delivery systems, including F-35A, Lightning II aircraft, and other platforms. Now, if I would be a Russian, I would say this, and this is something that works in psychology. Past behavior could indicate future behavior. That is, if the United States of America had no problem in dropping 2 atomic bombs, weapons of mass destruction, on 2 civilian cities in 1945, with the promise that if that country, which was Japan, did not surrender unconditionally, that is, pants down, bend over, and whatever I want goes, then we're going to drop the 3rd one, then the 4th one, then the 5th one, and so on, which probably could be categorized as genocide. So if these genocidal individuals, or whomever were in charge of this great nation, had no problem dropping 2 and promising to drop as many as necessary, what would you do as a Russian? These guys just deployed bombs in Great Britain. Do you think they already have a itchy finger? Let's put it this way. All right. So you tell me, if I would be Russia, I would probably do this. I would take my weapons if I could, and the Cuban government agrees, and deploy for the first time nuclear weapons on the island. There were never nuclear warheads in Cuba. Never. The Russians did not deploy the warheads in Cuba. All right? They let the baboons see that they are sending over there the body of the missiles and so on, and they're working off the platforms. But never nuclear weapons were deployed over there. But the Americans deployed to Turkey Jupiters and to Italy Jupiters. That was the problem in Cuban Missile Crisis. So it's going to happen the same thing? I don't know. Let's see if the Russians have the balls, but I don't think they need to. They have the submarines. And the submarines have nuclear warheads, so submarines are more effective than a fixed position somewhere with a nuclear base. You know what I mean? A submarine is moving, going down, going up, showing up here, showing up over there, and next to you, the 7 seconds. Boom, right from the coast of whatever, Washington, D.C., for instance, or Virginia, or West Virginia, or whatever you want to, wherever you, or New York, for instance, or maybe, I don't know, whatever. So I'm talking about submarines versus fixed locations. Always the submarines will win. It's hard to detect, and as long as you don't know where they're at, you're screwed. And the same works for the Americans and the Russians. The American submarines. The problem is the American submarines and where Moscow is, and is a little bit further inland, if you know what I mean. The American coastal cities are the biggest ones. I mean, look at the map. You can ignore Chicago, but even though, you know what I mean, you can get there with a submarine. But Chicago, but what do you need Chicago? Let them fucking shoot themselves anyway. They do it every night, and when weekend comes, they're all woohoo right there. John Wayne, right there, old John Wayne, or whomever they want to be. So Chicago's gonna fuck itself anyway. Don't have to send anything over there. They have enough itchy fingers over there. All right, and then Texas, and that's about it. What else? What's Arizona? What? Phoenix? We don't need Phoenix. Too much desert and scorpions. We're gonna take care of that city. I'm just kidding. Anyway, my friends, here it is. So these guys deployed another nuclear undisclosed number of nuclear weapons to Great Britain. Congratulations. Now remember, please remember, the first deployment of nuclear warheads in Europe was by the Americans to Europe. It was not by the Russians. So the chronology of events starts with them. And then the Americans have 7 locations in Europe in 5 countries. I think it's Germany, the Netherlands, Italy, Turkey, and now Great Britain, and another one I can't. Maybe it's Belgium or Denmark or something like that. Anyway, so this is, my friends, and the Russians dared to deploy one in one location, which is Belarus, which is far away. So the Russians, it's almost always the biggest criminal points the finger to others. You can't have nuclear warheads. No, you can't have this, but I have the biggest skeletons in my closet. You're saying you can't do this. Oh, Russia uses weapons like this, and you used what? Napalm in freaking Vietnam in the 60s and 70s, in Cambodia and Laos. You tell me about lies, Gulf of Tonkin. I mean, Russia interference when these guys were having staff from the State Department and CIA in Boris Yeltsin's campaign. The United States of America had CIA offices in Moscow during Boris Yeltsin's times. Please, reciprocity is a sign of equality and friendship. Thank you very much for being with me again today. So you can imagine how good friends are the Brits and the Americans when the Brits cannot even look over the Atlantic with any weapons and the other guys are deploying on your country to defend you. Those are not defensive weapons. Those are offensive weapons. Because I feel offended. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.